Hello, people of Earth, and welcome to WannaWatchAEW, where we ask, hey, you want to get to the first match already?
Oh, yeah, man. We got time limits here.
Yeah,
so,
no,
first match,
tag
team match, set for
This is already taking too long.
Yeah.
Lucha Bro, they've already, no, I think we're already at the 3 count.
Get on with it.
Right. Welcome to WannaWatchAEW, where we ask, hey, you want to watch AEW?
Yes.
Very, very quickly, without any intro whatsoever. This week was really interesting in that there was absolutely no cold open. There was absolutely no opening Dynamite intro video. It went right. No entrances for the wrestlers in the first match. We'll get to
start the show.
Yeah, it was colder than the weather in Canada right now.
Yeah, University of Pittsburgh, October 23rd, 2019. So there was no Dynamite intro this week, but before we get to Mr. Justin Roberts, Ramen, can you give us a rundown on BTE?
Yes, the BTE for last week before this episode. It was a pretty funny one. There's quite a few segments involved, so I'll run through them a little quickly. The first one is an ongoing gimmick where Nick is trying to get new merch made for the Bucks, and Matt is kind of against it. He's so against the corporateness of it, and we used to be about the team. And
he doesn't want to make Bucks.
No, he doesn't want to make Bucks, which is as if like daring the audience to buy their merch. Like, it's so tongue-in-cheek.
Don't make him make the merch, guys.
And Nick has a new shirt that's blue with a yellow lightning bolt, and Matt is furious. Then we move on to I'm presumably like an arcade or a rec room.
Yeah, it looked like a rec room of some kind.
Yeah, where Jack Evans and Angelico are playing air hockey against Private Party, and they are a bunch of marks and do their wrestling moves on each other in the arcade before scoring an air hockey move. I think the Private Party did a silly string on a railing and then got their air hockey, and then they played a little basketball where they tried to do that.
Sure.
Jack Evans sells a very light hit to the shoulder by a basketball. It's pretty funny. It's the best selling he's ever done. And
probably because of the lighting in there is so dim.
It's true. Yeah, you can't see how old he looks. So that was the end of that segment, and then we go to outside of the Philly arena. I think like the night before the show, maybe, because it's dark out, and so it's Joey Janella at with the camera at like a kind of a 45-degree angle, like it's a 90s MTV like Attitude Era style. Like, I'm outside the arena with the fans. And I'm gonna sign. He's a bad boy. And he's got, even with the like wife beater and the hat on and everything. And he says, oh, someone tweeted me saying that, hey, Joey, come outside of the arena during the signing and sign my wife's tits. It actually said titties.
Sign my wife's titties with 2 Ds?
Yes, which is important for what is about to happen.
Oh,
but
shit.
But the tweet said there's a catch. So they DM'd each other, and then it shows the woman coming up to the railing.
Sure.
Tits out.
Do you see like full on?
No
titties?
No nips. It's
no
YouTube.
Nips?
You can't monetize nips.
Free the nip.
I agree, but in any case, so she brings up the bosom. I guess the cleave, the great cleave. He signs "I'm pregnant" on it. And then she turns around, and the boyfriend, I guess, or husband, is going to take a photo, reads it, and gives the look that almost every guy who's surprised with a public pregnancy gives, which is, oh Jesus
fuck.
Christ, my life is over. Oh my God, don't sell it, don't sell it, don't sell it, don't sell it. So he hugs her. Right.
The only appropriate reaction.
No one else
for,
knows what's going on, so Joey very quickly realizes, oh, hey guys, she's pregnant, and everybody cheers.
Oh, okay. So it's not.
No, it's not like no one else knew other than her and him.
Oh man, that's a really awkward public moment.
Right. Then we cut to some post matches from last week. We get a very brief shot of Pac getting his fingers checked out, and he tells the camera to fuck off. Then we go to Jurassic Express, who are disappointed from their loss to the Lucha Bros last week. And guess who cuts a promo but Luchasaurus? We were talking about this privately the other day, that I was like, this guy can cut a promo. You'd never heard him speak before.
Promo on BT? Maybe I should watch that.
It's less of a promo and more of them like talking to each other, but he's like, don't give up, guys.
He's
He
got
basically
got
gives
lines.
he gets a pep talk where he's like,
Cool.
if we keep to who we are and like keep pushing forward, we will never fail, which is pretty not maybe ironic given where they all are now, where Jack is an actual heel. Luchasaurus is not even Luchasaurus anymore,
Well.
and Marco is gone from the company.
Yeah.
And then as they walk away, Luchasaurus tells Marco, "I think it's time," and he gives him his own little dinosaur mask.
Aw, cute.
Yeah, cute. Then we cut to a clip of the Painmaker with makeup, looking at a TV, watching a promo that he did last week about Ortiz and Santana.
He's watching himself do
Yes,
a promo.
he's watching a different face of Jericho. One face watching another face.
Interesting.
It's not a loop; it's a spiral. Then we go to a segment where Cutler is in the back looking on his phone, and Sammy Guevara comes up to him, and this is where Sammy was still kind of a shit heel. He was like he was like 20, 21
Yeah,
at this point.
he's a little fucking.
Yeah, he's a little fucker
fuckhead.
with his goddamn vlog that I never watched.
Sure.
Because I feel like it would be insufferable. But
yeah, we don't have to commit that much
No,
for this podcast.
Yeah. But yeah, so Sammy basically comes around and just insults Cutler for losing a match where he was about to win and then slipped off the top rope. Now, this is going to come up in a intersect with a later segment, so I will save that.
Interesting.
But basically, he just makes fun of Cutler for failing and then losing. Then I have a segment that's titled here, God and Death Have a Chat.
Oh.
Where Kenny is in the Elite's locker room, and he's on the couch when Hangman is about to leave. And he tells Hangman to stay for a second and sit next to him. And he gives Hangman a pep talk. And he's like, I also lost a pack. And I've been distracted with all this Moxley stuff. And it really sucks. But, he gives basically the Luchasaurus pep talk. He's like, as long as we're all still a team and the Elite are all together, like, everything's going to be okay. And Hangman very, clearly doesn't even want to digest it. He's just like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right, yeah.
He's
just ready to fuck off. Like, he's in another place mentally.
Disconnected.
Yeah.
Why do you call him Death? Is it because of the disconnection?
Hangman. No,
or Hangman? Oh, I see.
I was just being,
I was like, wait, it's not that deep,
No. It definitely isn't.
Gotcha.
Then we cut back to the Young Bucks, where a Wild Dana appears. Former head of merchandising debuts on BTE for us, anyway, with
telling
Matt that she has Young Bucks beach towels, which Matt hates. He's so sick of the new merch. But Nick, being a merch freak, loves it. Dana even says they have flip-flops.
Oh my god.
To which Nick says, we're going to take all of Matt Riddle's merch money. Which is funny considering he's adamantly dropping that gimmick now.
I want to be able to step on their faces. Is that the part of the flip-flops?
No. Let's leave that fetish outside of that. Let's not intersect that with podcasting. Matt feels like no one would wear these, as if daring the audience again. Nick says, oh yeah? Look down, because you're wearing them. And then Matt looks down, and as if by merch magic,
whoa,
flip-flops are on his feet.
Magic.
Yeah.
Is it some sort of time wizard?
I don't know. It will come up. Hold on to the word wizard and merch together. It'll go somewhere.
Great. I love that.
And then finally, we get a vlog from Kenny in Mexico after beating Phoenix for the AAA and Mega Championship.
Nice. Yeah.
He says he wishes the Bucks were with him, but he's not completely alone, as Atlas Security was supposed to send someone with him. And then the cameraman tells him, no one's coming from Atlas, actually. It's someone else. And he's like, who? And as he says it, he goes to open the door of his hotel room, and the handle is slick with baby oil.
Ooh.
And he says, oh, no, it can't be. And he opens the door, and it's Michael Nakazawa, who no one knows who that, I had no idea who this was. But he is, you've probably seen him here or there because you've seen Kenny as a heel, and he's part of the, BTE crew.
Oh, is he like a manager type character?
I don't know if he'll come out with Cutler. He used to come out with Cutler sometimes where he'd be the producer, so he'd have the headset and the khaki pants and the black shirt. But the gimmick at this point was that he put baby oil on everything, which is why Cutler slipped off the top rope.
Oh.
And there will be more instances of useless.
And even though he's not necessarily the producer,
No.
he's manipulating.
Right, but he's just doing it because he likes baby oil.
Right.
So the next morning, they go to the breakfast buffet, and you see Kenny getting his French toast, and he puts, a little honey and a little jam on it and moves on.
Delicious.
Excellent and good Canadian. And then then you see Nakazawa come up to it, and he puts it on, and he looks at all the dippings, and he's like, "No," and he pulls out a bottle of baby oil, and he sprays it on it, and he eats it. I don't think it's probably not real.
It's probably not real baby
Though
oil.
I'm sure it's edible because they.
I feel like the mouthfeel of baby oil would just be
so
like
gross and
weird.
cloying and like, and then we get to the end of the AAA match where Kenny comes back to the back and he's like all sweaty, and Nakazawa has a Monster Energy, and he's like, "You ready?" And he's like, "Yeah, man." And so Nak like shakes it as if to spray it on him, and then he closes his eyes, and instead he hits him with baby oil.
Gross.
I know.
I hate all of that.
I
don't
all of
want to
that.
watch
I know,
that.
it's disgusting.
This is why you preview BTE
Sure,
for me.
sure.
I'll watch the cool segments and skip the ones that
With the
involve
baby oil?
and food.
Baby oil. And that is all of BTE for this week. Yeah, so a bit of storytelling intertwined with silly skits. The stuff with Kenny and Hangman, dealing with Hangman's mental state and how he's feeling after losing to Pac and losing the world title match, and where he's at right now is very disconnected from the Elite, who don't really either are not acknowledging it or are a little too busy to really fully deal with it.
Sure. I mean, yeah, the Young Bucks are too busy being heels and trying to make money or
what have you.
Win
the tag titles. Actually,
win the tag titles as well.
And then Kenny is dealing with Moxley and Pac. So, so there's quite a bit going on there. And that is all for BTE.
Well, let's get into it. As mentioned, we got a freezing cold open to start the show. No Dynamite intro this week. We cut straight to the ring where Justin Roberts introduces Private Party and Lucha Bros for the semifinals in the tag team tournament.
Yes, the first of two semifinal matches tonight. Now as we record this podcast, we have just experienced the first Continental Classic tournament that culminated in World's End 2023, which is interesting to reflect on considering this is AEW's first real foray into tournaments, which is kind of their biggest like shtick, I guess you could call it.
Sure.
Like their biggest alternative to WWE is lots of tournaments.
Yes.
Everything is merit based.
And here we are, episode 4 in the semifinals of the tag team tournament.
Yes. They spent 4 years getting the audience acclimated to tournaments.
Right.
Before doing their own G1.
And I think it was pretty successful.
I agree. The Continental Classic was a huge success.
Yeah, World's, and we had a fun time at World's End.
Yes, that was a great pay-per-view. This 2019 storyline is also mirroring last week's Dynamite in 2024 because Private Party just re-debuted and said that they want to win the tag titles. And tonight, on this episode, they're facing the Lucha Bros in the semifinals for the tag titles.
Yeah, and recall that Private Party beat the Young Bucks 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And the Lucha Brothers beat Jurassic Express last week. So, this match is to see who goes to the finals, part 1.
Yes. We start with Phoenix and Quinn in the ring. Both of them show off their talents and athleticism, both doing mirroring, head scissors, and kicks and lariats. But Quinn gets the best of Phoenix with a dropkick. I will say that from the jump, the pace of this match is genuinely like too fast.
Yes.
And it does not ever relent.
They were like, go, go, go.
Yeah, let's make every second of this count for 9 moves. Phoenix comes back with a strike of his own and then knocks Isaiah Cassidy from the apron to try and isolate Quinn. The Lucha Bros isolate him, but he gets a high-angle double drop kick to avoid them.
Yeah, and JR comments that at this point, each team keeps hitting big moves, but no one seems to gain any consecutive sequences or take advantage of the situation.
Yeah, it is very like seesaw. We get a couple moves and you do. A lot of fast moves from Private Party isolating Penta, which doesn't last long. But Quinn hits a huge splash onto Penta, but doesn't hook the leg for the pin, which lets him kick out very quickly.
Yeah, and then Penta dodges Quinn, who gets kicked by Phoenix, and then Phoenix gets tagged in and clobbers Quinn with a double stomp from the top rope.
Yeah, it was really interesting because Quinn was actually facing into the ring and doubled over.
Yeah.
And then Fenix was on the top rope facing the outside, and he did a backwards jumping stuff.
Yeah, it was really cool, and that was one of the few moves that I made note of.
Yeah, one of the few moves that like took a second to set up.
Yeah.
Then there's another crazy setup here where Quinn gets put onto the shoulders of Cassidy. Then Fenix drop kicks Quinn, forcing him to give Cassidy a poison rana. I'm sure there are a lot of spots I'm missing here also. This pace is just insane. Like, my fingers would have bled if I tried to. I'm not Superman.
Yeah, I did have a lot of trouble keeping up writing it, but I like to write my notes, so.
Quinn gets the tag on Cassidy, and JR says at some point that means Cassidy needs to leave the ring because at this point it has become apparent to everybody that no one is making any tags.
Yeah.
Everyone is just running in and out. I'm amazed that the ref can keep track of who the legal man is.
It is adding to the speed and intensity.
Yeah, this is called legal man syndrome when shit like this happens. Excalibur and Shivani talk about how tagging in lucha wrestling basically doesn't exist, to which JR kind of insensitively goes, well, what the hell kind of sense does that make?
What they're talking about here is that the Lucha Libre rules of tag and trios wrestling is that once the tag team member hits the ground outside the ring, the other tag partner can jump into the ring and become the legal wrestler. So actually, when I looked this up, what I found interesting is that the original legal guy can leave the ring on their own accord. So this kind of
wait, what?
They can leave the ring on their own accord, so it can have
so
interesting.
if he leaves
strategic,
the ring, the other
yeah.
guy. Okay, well, I knew that part of it. I didn't know he could. I didn't know he could willingly force that to happen.
Yeah, so it has interesting strategic elements if you're used to watching this style of tag wrestling, which of course we're not
rules.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it was really interesting to kind of look that up because.
Yeah, it definitely confused the shit out of JR.
Yeah.
Almost pseudo racist question about that. Back to the match, the Lucha Bros have the advantage, whatever that means for however long that lasts, with Penta and Quinn in the ring. Quinn cartwheels out of a Hurricanrana attempt and then flops backwards into a tag, which is actually pretty funny. The crowd popped for that. Cassidy then hits Penta with a springboard dropkick, then hits Fenix with a springboard Rana, then Penta on the outside with a springboard moonsault.
Yeah, and then Quinn hits Fenix with a massive shooting star press, but only gets like a 2.9 count. The crowd erupts. The crowd is fucking over with this. And we hear the 10-minute warning at this point, as if the pacing and intensity of this match needed to be heightened.
I know. Fenix then gets frustrated, hitting Cassidy with furious punches before Quinn comes to his aid, but to no avail as he gets taken out for his trouble.
Yeah.
Penta then hits Cassidy with a powerbomb to the knee and then goes for a package driver, but Quinn escapes, hitting an enziguri on Penta and then hitting Phoenix.
The Mexican style of professional wrestling is tags are basically don't exist.
Right, non-existent, absolutely.
How did you know?
How much sense does that make?
I don't know how the ref knew that.
That's Lucha Libre, JR.
Yeah,
that's
and
Lucha
the
Libre, but they have to adhere to different rules here.
Part of the story of the match. I will say impressive because I would have lost the fucking score. This gives Penta and Phoenix the chance to recover, hitting Quinn with a top rope walking kick to the face. Quinn gets the arm breaker from Penta, my favorite, followed by an assistance package driver, which finally gets the 3 count, and now we can take a breath in.
Right? Just everyone's like, oh,
Good
gosh.
Lord. This match was so fast, too much.
It was very exciting.
Yes.
And like with the cold open and the fast pace of the start, it was like, whoa, holy shit, what are we doing here?
I will say, like, I think that actually did. You're right. It was a very, very exciting match. But I honestly think it just, and I don't like saying this because I'm not on the Cornette camp about this style of tag wrestling.
Right.
We've talked about this in previous episodes. But this match did way too much.
Yeah.
Like way, way, way too much. And compare, especially, we'll talk about it later, but compared to the Bucks match, which is similar, but has very different pacing.
Well, exactly. And we start the show off with this like
frenetic,
you're
right.
tag match.
We've no intro, just get to the ring.
And there's actually 3 tag matches in this show tonight, so it's
almost
going to
in a
be
row.
Interesting to juxtapose all of them. But
Yeah.
this one is definitely like the chaotic one.
I feel like the Private Party were like, listen, we're not going to win this, so please let us just get all of our shit in. Just as much of our shit in as we can.
Let us
and the
do our
Lucha Bros are
spots.
never going to say no to anything.
Yeah.
They're going to do fucking everything, because they do.
Yeah.
They can keep up with anyone. All I'm asking for is, like, just a few seconds between spots for, like, to let them breathe and sell a little bit. And it's not even the no selling that bothers me, even though it was absolutely no selling. He gets a fucking arm breaker and like rolls out of the ring. So we didn't even get the sell of that.
There was so much going on.
There's just so much. And I think if we went back to watch that match and listen to the crowd, I don't know that there would be a lot of like pops so much as like the sort of verbal Mexican wave, right?
Sure.
Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. No, you know what I mean. Like the audible Mexican wave. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think, for a match to go from like fun to great requires the audience to have moments to digest. There's zero moment to digest anything in this match. Yeah. And if we weren't writing it down, I would not have remembered a single spot from it. We cut to a Wardlow promo, a Ward Mo. I tried. He runs, he lifts, he has chains on his shoulders that he lifts and runs with. He has a hashtag.
Which is?
Wardlow's coming, I think. Who on who and where?
Wardlow in the wild.
Yes.
A silent
film. Wild. Well, it wasn't silent.
Well, it wasn't. He didn't say anything.
It's true. Did he grunt? Yeah, I think he may have done some grunts. There may have been a grunt or two.
Yeah, all right.
We then see the spot from last week where the Lucha Bros injured Christopher Daniels in shoot. He's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Do you have any butt scuttle about this?
Yeah, so the news...
Or scuttlebutt.
Well, the news article from around this time seemed to indicate that Daniels reported having a pinched nerve. There's no indication about whether that's shoot or kayfabe in the news articles from the time.
It probably would have been shoot.
I checked Daniel's wrestling stats for 2019, and he wrestled on AEW Dark on October 9th.
Okay.
And then he didn't wrestle again until December 4th, which is about 8 weeks.
Yeah, so it's probably shoot.
It sounds like a shoot injury, but you know what? We're right on to match 2 of the tag team tournament.
Yeah, SU versus the Dark Order. We get a Dark Order promo as SU makes their way to the ring.
Yeah, and then I was like, wow, this is happening right now. Like the other semifinal match is happening now.
I know, you would have thought they would have bookended it at least. Put the Bucks in the middle.
It was a little bit like, yeah, it was a lot.
So, week 2 of the Dark Order. I'm still not sure how I feel with these Uno-obsessed gimps. And whether they aided or hurt the gimmick, it certainly gave them something, which is more than the nothing they have right now in 2024. It made Uno seem actually menacing compared to these days where he seems like a comedy guy.
Yeah.
And very fine with that.
Yeah, so you think it made him more menacing?
It certainly gave him why are they doing that? Did he drug them? Did he give them something?
Yeah, it
does make my brain wonder things.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
My first reaction is that I don't really like the creepers.
No, I don't like them.
Their unnatural movements are really off-putting to me. I think Evil Uno looks menacing without these guys. That's what my first impression was. Like he doesn't need that. But part of the storyline is that this is an established tag team with a cult of followers. So that's what the creepers are supposed to be.
All right. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Dark Order before.
And actually, well, I can give you a little bit of background on the Dark Order if you want. I will say before I get into my little segment on the Dark Order, I was surfing the World Wide Web and I came across a detailed article by Dylan Murray written in September 2019. So he was writing for Last Word on Sports, and the article is called The Dark Order, The Best Team You Didn't Remember.
Interesting.
So this was a very helpful article because it's kind of a snapshot in time, 2019, as much as it is a primer on the Dark Order. So thank you, Dylan, for a lot of the information for this segment came from your article. So Stu Grayson and Evil Uno were previously known as the Super Smash Brothers.
Interesting.
In the independent circuit. Between their debut in 2007 and 2018, they held 7 different tag titles. Stu Grayson was originally billed as Stupefied, which is a stupid name in my opinion. I'm sorry.
Agree. No, that's dumb.
And he was also billed as Player Dos.
Equally dumb.
Because, Evil Uno was Player Uno. So, now putting aside the obvious trademark theft that would not fly when you're trying to be a serious wrestling promotion, the gamer player Uno Dos gimmick is a really cute one to me for like some baby faces. I don't know. Anyways, let me prime you on Super Smash Bros. And player Uno and player Dos, right? Because putting aside the obvious trademark theft, again, that wouldn't fly when you're trying to be a serious wrestling promotion. It's a really cute gimmick in my respective opinion. And these two...
Not the opinion of the official podcast. Opinion of the podcast.
You might disagree with me, but I don't give a fuck. But these two Canadian video game nerds apparently had amazing chemistry as friends and as tag partners, and they started appearing regularly with Chikara in 2008.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and they did sign with Ring of Honor to do some dark matches that same year.
Interesting.
Honestly, I found their ability to cut a promo very impressive.
Absolutely.
In our little links document, I saved somewhere on our YouTube channel. Actually, I did save it on it. I don't know how that works, but there's it's a video from 2010. So player Dos actually busts out a list, like a physical paper list of player Dos about the ways in which they and their opponents, the Colony, are alike. Again, beyond being the most experienced tag teams at this promotion, both teams are apparently fans of Miley Cyrus.
Hilarious.
And that's 2010 Miley Cyrus, so I'm into that. But it's silly, in all the ways that I like promos to be.
Sure.
Their energy is really good. They seem really charismatic to me. Like you'll go check out the link. It's on our YouTube somewhere.
Okay.
So Super Smash Bros. Debuted with the LA-based Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, or PWG, in 2011. And their first match, they lost to the Rock Ness Monsters, and that's Rock capital NES. So, again, the whole video game thing is the Super Smash.
Definitely never want to win tag titles.
Again, build as the Super Smash Bros. And the Rock Ness Monsters. That was like,
that's interesting.
I love that. So, but PWG really invested in them, and they continued to grow as wrestlers alongside the Young Bucks, El Generico, Adam Cole, Willie Mack.
And if you don't know, El Generico is Sami Zayn.
And Canadians as well. So they would have probably wrestled
Almost
together before. SSB got Indie Star Power in 2012, becoming PWG Tag Team Champs and retaining in several notable matches. And actually, between June 2012 and losing the PWG belts in January 2013, SSB held 3 different titles at the same time. So, I mean, they were technically Triple Crown. Triple Crown, still Triple Crown. So they had the PWG title and 2 CW, which were US promotions. And then they also had the North Shore Pro Wrestling tag titles, which is a promotion out of Quebec, which is where they're from. So, love that for them. Apparently, some visa issues arose for our Quebecois masked champions, and it appears that they stopped wrestling in the American promotions like PWG in 2013. So that's kind of when they lost the belt. You don't see them in the States anymore. But the first iteration of Evil Uno and Stu Grayson as the Super Smash Brothers came in 2015 when they wrestled primarily between 2 promotions, one in Canada and one in Germany.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the wrestlers have worked consistently as both tag team partners and in solo competition until debuting strongly in AEW's Fight for the Fallen pay-per-view and getting a bye into this tournament. And then Dylan Murray concludes this 2019 article, again, the one that I had mentioned at the beginning of this segment, about the Dark Order by saying, quote, "After getting to the top of the independent mountain in 2012, Uno and Dos were victims of circumstances and lost the buzz that likely would have brought them into superstardom. Now they have the chance to right that wrong. Whilst many new fans are yet to come around to the Dark Order at AEW, it is only a matter of time until everybody recognizes just who they are. The best tag team you didn't remember." And why I think this is going to be a saga, perhaps, is the theme of the best tag team you didn't remember from an article, like the publication date is September 30th, 2019, that a wrestling fan is writing this. And a sports commentator, journalist, is writing this about the Dark Order. And I found that very interesting because, again, this is like 2 weeks before this match. It's an interesting starting point for me to explore why, as I had said at the beginning, the Dark Order have not yet held the AEW tag titles. So I think we stay tuned for another segment in a future episode about this. But again, the best tag team you didn't remember.
Interesting. I had no idea about that. Thank you so much. That was great. Meanwhile, in the ring, the audience is pumped for SCU, who the commentary point out are all business tonight. No Freddie Mercury, no singing. They are ready to kick some ass after the beatdown from last week. Shivani says, technically, SCU is the less experienced group as a tag team, as Grayson and Uno have been tagging for a long time, as you mentioned.
Yes, as you just found out.
Shivani points out that the quote-unquote creepers just passed by them, to which JR says, wait, where's my shoes?
Oh my god, someone get him some Young Bucks flip-flops.
These tiny elves have stolen my shoes for the cobbler. Excalibur says Grayson has been training in various martial arts since he was 6 years old, which kind of, in a one way, sounds like just some guy who's been kicking stuff his whole life.
Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me, his experience with martial arts. But the match starts with Evil Uno giving a cheap shot to Kaz, taking him to the corner and isolating him. For a bigger wrestler, I think Evil Uno is actually really speedy.
I agree.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed watching him wrestle.
Classic JR fat shaming here.
Oh boy.
As he says,
yeah, I don't think we need to worry about the numbers necessarily as opposed to what's happening in the ring. Kaz
uses his strength to overpower Uno, hitting a wicked lariat on Uno before tagging Scorp, who comes in with a beautiful dropkick and a cover for 2. JR brings up the impressive performance from Scorpio last week, calling him the MVP of the show.
Which I think we both agreed with
100%.
as well at the end of the
He was my diamond dog or whatever.
Diamond dog.
In ring, though, Grayson and Uno have the advantage on Scorp, hitting him with a running tackle. Excalibur brings up how the Dark Order were considered one of the best tag teams in the world.
Again, at one point they were, and they lost that momentum, and
it's hard to get it back.
Hopefully.
Scorp knocks Uno off the apron and reverses a back body drop by Grayson with a jumping stop to the back. Quick tags from Kaz and Scorp trying to get some momentum on Grayson, but Grayson dodges a kick with a frog jump and kicks him to the outside, where Uno then throws him into the ring steps. During commercial obligation, Sky tries to fight off the double team from the Dark Order, but gets trampled. Sky gets hit with a delayed senton while he's laying on the apron, which was a pretty impressive move by Grayson. Like his ability to just sort of stay vertical for a second was really unexpected.
Yeah, and
especially from Baby Kratos.
Baby Kratos.
It's what he looks like. I'm sorry, I can't not see it.
I know. After doing some research, I see him in a different light here.
Yeah.
Scorp reverses Uno with a back body drop and gives Grayson a solid lariat, and he's close to getting a tag in, but Uno pulls Kazarian off the apron at the last second.
Uno hits Sky with a vicious senton atomico for 2.
By the masked man who, according to our publicity, weighs 220. 220? And I'm 6'5", and look like Brad Pitt. Hey, the guy's got a big size advantage. We're not taking this lightly, but that could be a huge weapon in this matchup.
Come back from commercial obligation, and suddenly the Inner Circle show up in the crowd. Jericho flashes some tickets. They go up the stairs.
Into the skybox.
Yeah, into the Inner Circle box.
In the ring, Scorp fights off Uno with a neckbreaker reversal, finally getting a hot tag to Kaz that I liken to a full-on arson.
Oh.
Because he hits really fast and hard strikes. A flying lariat, body slam, and a springboard leg drop, which was surprising. Finally hitting Grayson with a spinning neckbreaker.
Oh, wow. Kaz rolls Evil Uno up and grabs Grayson by the waist, nailing a bridging Northern Lights suplex, which is really cool looking near fall.
Yeah, I always love the Northern Lights.
Yeah.
Shivani brings up how both teams are looking worse for wear, exactly the kind of exhaustion the first match was lacking.
Yeah,
right?
There was a little bit of a pacing, like the pacing is better on this.
Yeah, I mean, the wrestlers need to look like they're putting in effort.
Yes, exactly.
Scorp gets hit with a rising knee strike, which makes him wobble backwards as he gets suplexed right into Kaz, who was in the corner behind him. Grayson then gets Kaz in an electric chair position, tossing him to Uno for a sit-out powerbomb and a 2 count. JR says he didn't neutralize the legs.
Yeah.
Scorpio and Kaz hit cutters on Uno and Grayson respectively to get their comeback, followed by stereo dragon sleepers, but Grayson powers out of it. Grayson scales Uno, Scorp, and Aubrey.
What?
He's standing on the top turnbuckle. He runs on all of their shoulders and then hits Kaz with a Hurricane Rana. then runs into Scorp in one corner, then runs to the other corner, hurdling the corner to give Kaz a senton to the outside.
Jesus Christ. Well, I guess that might be the first rule of cool, is like using the ref as part of the move.
Like he does an Undertaker dive, basically.
And then Uno rakes Scorp's eyes and gives him a flatline.
Love it. Senton Atomico.
By Grayson on the outside of the
Damn,
ring.
I'm learning things every week.
Me too.
I am. I love it.
Yeah, she's not.
I am too, Tony.
Scorp gets set up for Uno and Grayson's finisher called the Fatality, but shoves Uno into the corner post as Kaz hits Grayson with a DDT. Kaz then hits Uno with a DDT on the apron and hits Grayson with the SCU later GTS and gets the 3 count. SCU is going to the finals against the Lucha Bros.
Wow. So not only is it a tag team title match, but there's beef between SCU and the Lucha Bros because of the injury to Daniels.
Yes.
So I'm very excited for this finals match.
Me too. As SCU theme plays, we get shots of the inner circle throwing popcorn and spraying the bubbly, just wasting it everywhere. Ace Jericho owns it now, so
yeah, it's all popcorn and champagne, which is just makes for a real fucking mess.
We then cut to a pre-cape of Cody arriving at the arena earlier that day. He's definitely in his Cody EVP outfit here.
Yeah,
he looks a bit like a skinny Triple H. There's like an episode of like Raw or something in like 2006 around there where Triple H is walking in the back with like a suit on, but he's trying to he's a face, so he's just like saying hello to all the production guys. Like, yeah, I'm a real cool guy. I'm real relatable.
This guy,
everybody likes me.
He looks really busy and important, but he's like talking to like.
But I'm one of the people. I haven't forgot where I came from.
No, I didn't get that vibe at all. No, he was talking to like an EA or something. He was like, I'm busy, and he's getting the information from like the production staff. It was not again. I was not a man. It was not a man of the people at all.
No, and again, like, what Cody are they trying to represent here?
Yeah, it's very mixed
question.
message.
Yeah.
But again, you do see. Yeah, you observed well. He's in a suit, looks busy and important.
Match 3: Joey Janella versus Kenny Omega. Apparently a rematch from Dark, where they had a unsanctioned match, right?
Right. Yeah.
Schmoey Schmomella.
Yeah, you realize that Kenny's in this match, so you have to actually pay attention.
Yeah, I know. It was very hard. I immediately regretted it because I didn't know what about Joey's entrance is bad boy. It's certainly not his Brian Kendrick ass walking to the ring, or his bandana, or his lack of a shower.
Can you smell it from here?
No, he did have very legible tit signature though.
He did have neat writing on that lady's chest.
Good tit writing. I'll give him that.
We get some clips of the unsanctioned hardcore match between Janella and Omega from a previous episode of AEW Dark.
Before they realized they shouldn't book career shorteners on YouTube.
They had no other choice.
Oh, they did.
And just
not have Joey Janela on there.
Justin Roberts announces in Spanish that Kenny Omega is the Triple A Mega Champion.
The Triple A.
The Triple A?
Triple A.
Well, I don't know how to say it in Spanish.
Triple A.
I'm not that skilled in Spanish.
But considering how long he holds it for, they should call it the Omega Championship.
Yeah, I double checked that because Kenny vacated the AAA Championship in 2022 due to an injury.
Yeah.
But he had just won it from Phoenix the Saturday prior to this episode.
As said on BT.
As said on BT, yeah.
Kenny works on Joey's arm to open the match, taking him down with an armbar. Joey counters with a springboard arm drag, showing that he can hold his own with a guy like Kenny, at least a little bit on the mat wrestling. Kenny throws Janela to the apron, kicking him in the face between the middle rope and V-triggering him to the outside. Kenny then hits a pescado on Janela, a springboard crossbody to the outside.
And I know you don't like Joey Janela, but at the beginning of this match, I can see why people were hyped for him in 2019. He's definitely maneuvering out of Kenny's various arm manipulations, and right now he's keeping up with Kenny.
I don't disagree with you. This match showed me more of Janela than I had seen previously. Excalibur calls Kenny a temporal wizard for his ability to control the pace in the ring. I may have to start calling him that.
I know.
Or at least make one in D&D.
That's like a sweet nickname. Make one in D&D.
Who will be Meggy O'Kenna.
What kind of wizard would he be?
The best one.
Oh my god. Wow.
The best spell machine.
The best spell machine. Book it.
Yep.
Janela delivers some strikes to Kenny, and he's able to take a bit of control and get Kenny into the corner and climb to sit on the top turnbuckle. Kenny throws him off, but Janella rolls through, throwing Kenny to the outside and hitting a huge crossbody to the outside from the top turnbuckle.
I will give it to Janella for that one. It looked very, very impressive.
Yeah, and at this point, JR is talking about drama between Joey Janela and Tully Blanchard.
Oh, I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, the casual television viewer really has no idea what the fuck he's talking about.
I mean,
but
Tully becomes a presence in AEW for a bit.
Yeah, but this eventually it does become a plot point on BTE, and there's a feud between him and Sean Spears. But anyways, it was distracting because there was nothing to give us context.
Sure.
And I had a note of it, and I was like, what the fuck? But anyways.
We go to a commercial obligation as Janella tries to keep pace with Kenny, but he gets caught with a Hurricane Rana that throws him to the outside. And it's time for the rise of the Terminator. The crowd starts the beat going as Kenny hits a gorgeous tope as always. Kenny hits a lot of moves on Janella here, including a buckle bomb followed by a pop-up sit-up power bomb. As Kenny picks Janella apart, reveling in it, JR says Kenny has no fear, taking this match while also knowing that he has Moxley down the line. Kenny's a gamer, he says, with zero awareness that has a double meaning in this instance.
Well, Kenny, as the gamer, has full control over Janella's wrist and gives him a loud chest chop. Janella tries to match Kenny's strength, but like he really just gets chopped down quickly.
No, it's like a 50-pound muscle mass difference. Kenny hits the "you cannot escape" as we come back from commercial, but Janella gets the knees up on the moonsault. Kenny is not deterred though, hitting Janella immediately with multiple Snapdragon suplexes.
So nice.
Goes for a standing switch, but Janella gets the better and hits Kenny with a suplex into the corner. It looked brutal.
Yeah, this was that really rough spot, right?
Yeah, but it actually wasn't so bad. It just Kenny landed more on his side than on his back, and it was kind of ugly.
All right.
Janella goes up and hits a top rope elbow drop, but gets two. Not the best, but not the worst.
Yeah, and then Janella's up there going for the 10-count punches, but he takes too much time showboating to the crowd, and then Kenny drops him right in the face, hits a Snapdragon, a V-trigger, but only gets a 2.5.
Yeah, Janella showing some resilience, and he reverses a V-trigger with a German suplex, but then immediately gets hit with a chop, then a V-trigger, but this time Janella won't be deterred, hitting Kenny with a Fisherman Buster. The crowd chants, "This is awesome," and yeah, I kind of had to agree. I was into it.
Yeah.
That Fisherman Buster was pretty great.
We were into it.
Very, very crisp. Good, crisp Fisherman Buster. JR says Janella might soon become one of the biggest stars in AEW, and I'm kind of glad that didn't happen. But I'm not unimpressed.
Yeah, and I kind of looked into Joey Janela a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Because you always shit all over him, and we're watching this, from the start.
Even if with this match, he's good. I just don't see it.
Yeah, but again, the background is that he wrestled Eddie Kingston on January 8th, 2022.
Interesting.
And his last match with AEW was 1 week later on Dark.
Okay.
So, Callie Mercury went to Petty University to do some digging on what was out there about his departure from AEW. So, in March 2022, Joey Janela did an interview with Denise Salcedo where he pulls the jilted lover card saying,
really?
Yeah, he says, "I wish there was less radio silence on their end with me. I consider Tony a friend. I just wish they would talk to me. I know it's come to an end, but I appreciate them. I appreciate the experience I had, and I'm going to take everything I learned there and bring it with me for the rest of my career."
Weird.
Yeah, during this interview, he references super kicking Eddie Kingston too hard during that January 8th match in Charlotte, North Carolina. And his excuse for that during this interview was, quote, "I had been squatting probably 50 more pounds than I am used to be squatting and doing 100 pounds more on the leg press. And I don't know, I didn't realize I had that type of power in my legs, and I gave him a super kick, and I broke his orbital bone." So,
I was just too strong, bro.
Yeah, there's an acknowledgement.
I was too jacked.
There's an acknowledgement that the injury happened,
if they made any mistake, it was getting too jacked.
Yeah, he's not taking responsibility because he lifts, bro.
Good God.
Yeah. So he also said in this interview...
Wow, he doesn't sound insufferable at all.
I know. He also said in this interview, quote, "I've had a string of bad luck throughout my AEW career, and it may have been the straw that broke the camel's back," in reference to breaking Eddie Kingston's orbital bone.
Which he is known to be.
So again, his quote being like, "It's not that Joey Janela is an unsafe wrestler, it's that he's an unlucky wrestler." That's exactly,
he's
had
real
a string
unlucky
of bad
that
luck.
the wrestlers he was with noticed he injured them.
Yeah.
Goddamn
Again, he's
idiot.
deferring complete
Good
responsibility. And the PWI article covered this 2022 interview. They the writer confirmed that they had talked to some AEW sources and that Joey Janella had a bad reputation in the locker room for being unsafe, like you have said. So he mentions, Joey Janella mentions in this 2022 interview that it might be the older heads in the locker room who believe he has a reputation as a dangerous wrestler. Literally says that. It is. So anyways.
There aren't even that many older heads in that locker room.
That's
the EVPs are your age, asshole.
That's what Joey Janella said after his contract was not renewed with AEW. He got the radio silent treatment. He was deflecting responsibility and not really learning from, I think, the lessons that had happened with, particularly with Eddie Kingston.
What a bad boy. What a bad at life
boy. We're going to get to that because on February 2023, Joey Janella was on a WrestleFest live stream.
This should be good.
Yeah, I didn't watch the live stream.
Nothing bad ever happens when something's recorded on
I found an article. We can link. We should probably start putting show notes in. But he said, according to this article I found, I was set to resign, and then I think I super kicked Eddie in the face a little too hard and broke his eye socket. I think he was going to feud with Chris Jericho, and then there was a little heat on me there. I was just like, I'm not dealing with this again. So I just hit up DDT in Japan that day and said, I'm not going to resign. That day they sent me a tour. So he did wrestle in Japan starting in August 2022 after he didn't renew his contract with AEW.
Where he can hit somebody really hard and no one will say anything.
Yeah, and he did, he has continued to wrestle, so he's kept busily wrestling with Game Changer Wrestling or GCW, and this is the promotion that he primarily
Where is that?
Wrestles with today. It's in the States somewhere. I don't remember which state particularly, but it's somewhere in the U.S. But again, what we see here from, March of 2022 to February 2023
is a lack of remorse.
Yeah, and a gradual shifting of the narrative that's kind of hilarious to me. And I think it's worth pointing out this discrepancy in light of the positive reception that he's receiving during this match. Kenny is wrestling with him. JR is hyping him as the future of the company, and the crowd seems really excited about this match.
I mean, it makes sense because, Tony, of all things at this point especially, is an indie mark.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't mean that disparagingly. Like, a lot of these guys got signed because he knew them. Orange Cassidy, he knew of him, right?
And that's what he says I was friends with Tony, right?
Exactly, because these are the kinds of guys that Tony engendered. And if he saw Janella and put him in this position this early, that's a decision from all 5 of these EVPs and Tony.
Exactly.
And he's like, it's one thing, see, humility. I always tell you this in private. Humility is always the thing that fucks people over.
Exactly.
A lack of humility and an ego is what will kill you every time.
And so if Joey Janela had taken more responsibility for causing his coworkers injuries and working to be a safer wrestler, I think he was going to get pushed in AEW.
He fucking Cat Williams did
so. I approach... Can we not date it like that?
Okay.
Yeah, that literally has happened. Can we not?
All right.
Thanks. So if Joey Janela had taken more responsibility for causing his coworkers injuries and working to be a safer wrestler, I think he was going to get really pushed in AEW. And, I appreciate that people cope with breakups in different ways. But this narrative shifting and the blame defection for, his unsafe wrestling and the unsafe wrestling itself. So, he's both deflecting the blame and,
and saying that and denying that it happened, basically.
Yeah.
He's simultaneously apologizing and gaslighting. He's saying it didn't happen, but if it did happen, it's because I was too jacked, bro.
And again, so he's deflecting blame for his unsafe wrestling, and then he's also still an unsafe wrestler. And that is why we at WannaWatchAEW can confirm that in our opinion, Joey Janela is a piece of shit. So, finished him off, Kenny.
Wow. I didn't know that we were making those kind of judgments at the end of these.
It's just an opinion.
Judge, jury, and executioner.
That's just my opinion, man.
Janella goes for a senton. That piece of shit goes for a senton onto Kenny on the apron, but splats back first as Kenny rolls out of the way. That looked and sounded gross.
Yeah, it did.
Kenny rolls Janella in and knocks him out with a V-trigger before nailing the one winged angel, and that's all there was for Janella tonight.
Yeah.
A short, low-stakes, but exciting match that showed me something about Janella. I came away from this thinking, okay, yeah, maybe there is a reason they're putting some effort behind him. I don't know if I want to see him grungily sign tits every week, but they're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
But he, of course, held his own. He's not a megastar or anything, but he held his own against the god of pro wrestling. So.
Yeah, and he had a lot of potential, and if he would have just shown some humility, we might be telling a different story about Joey Janela right now.
True. I'm glad we're not. After a brief promo of upcoming tour dates, Cody then raises from the center of the stage. If Kenny is the god of pro wrestling, Cody definitely comes off as the president of pro wrestling.
Yes. He is not here to wrestle. He's here on very important business.
He is here to president.
He's here to president.
This may not be a popular opinion between the two of us, but I love Cody's theme song.
You're correct that it is something we may disagree on.
That's fair. We come back from commercial, and Tony says that Cody... Blah, blah, blah. We come back from commercial obligation, where Cody was failing to vamp. And Tony Schiavone is in the ring with him.
Ah, yes.
He says that Cody is making a major announcement tonight, but before he can, the inner circle starts blaring air horns. Hilarious. The air horns run out way too fast, though.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, they ran out of juice real quick. So instead, Jericho just grabs a mic and boos Cody verbally as he's trying to make his announcement. I am a child and find this hilarious.
Yeah, and Cody says, hey, Chris, this isn't like the other company we come from. There is no invisible wall. I can step through the ropes, come up there, and we can fight right here, right now. And put a pin in that for a second.
Okay, pin placed on the donkey. The crowd pops for this, forcing Jericho to tell Pittsburgh to shut your mouths. He says, Cody, you stand in that ring where it's safe because you're too much of a coward to come up here.
You're an entitled millennial little bitch.
Yeah. A young LA Knight takes note.
Anyway. But at some point, Jericho refers to Cody as boy, which I know really riles up the men on a good day.
Yeah, no, not a big fan of being called boy or little guy or buddy.
Yeah, buddy, kid.
Guy. I'm not your buddy, pal. Jericho points out that it's 4-on-1, so he'll have to listen to Jericho and take it. But the music of the natural Dustin Rhodes hits. Your big brother's not going to save you, Cody Wody. It's still 4-on-2. Then MJF's music hits. Cody's BFF 4L comes down to have his back. Jericho says, oh, what? I'm supposed to be afraid of a guy wearing a scarf? Referencing one of Jericho's many faces and one of my favorites in particular.
Yes.
Callie.
You know that experience during the creative process where you have that one good idea and it's like a watershed moment and then all of these awesome ideas spring up and then you have this fully realized piece of art?
Yes.
Well, that is the list of Jericho.
Yes, I agree.
That is one of your favorites?
Yes, absolutely.
So it did start, the list of Jericho started on September 19th, 2016, episode of Raw, when, according to former wrestler and WWE writer Jimmy Jacobs, Jericho was supposed to go out and cut a promo about all of the grievances he had about Mick Foley. So Jacobs thought it would be hilarious if Jericho went out with a physical list, like a shit list. And so Mick Foley was the first guy to make the list. And like any good idea, all of these awesome ideas sprang up after, and Chris Jericho really just like went with it and ran with the whole list of Jericho. So he added this, again, expensive looking scarf to add to this heelishness and arrogance of the character. The pen and the dramatic clicking
of the pen, yes.
You know, and then the various catchphrases.
Yeah, like you just made my list. The pen clicking was the thing, yes. You're gonna get it.
Yeah.
It. that was, and then we'd be like, get what? It. Which is such a grow up watching Leslie Nielsen on Airplane. I told you we should watch Airplane. That's where all of that shit comes from. It's like they're watching that and like John Candy movies as a kid.
Yeah.
Shit
So
like Uncle Buck.
Notable additions to the list of Jericho include Mick Foley, of course, Braceface in row 12.
Yep.
The cameraman during a highlight reel of his best friend Kevin Owens.
I'm pretty sure Angry Ms. Girl, I made it on there too.
Kofi Kingston for questioning Jericho and Kevin Owens' friendship.
Right.
Seth Rollins for being injured again.
Right.
AJ Styles' stupid soccer mom haircut.
Yep.
Braun Strowman for touching the list. Sami Zayn, no reason given. Santa Claus for gimmick infringement.
What?
Because he has a list.
God. How did I forget that?
Danny Masterson for insinuating that he and Ashton are better friends than us.
Really? That's why he's on the list? Or not
That's
on
according to the Reddit post
well,
that I
that's
have
okay.
in the links
Danny
there.
Masterson's on a very different list now.
Gold.
So
There it is.
there it is.
I knew I had to mention.
You're
I
like,
knew
there's
that
a joke there somewhere.
Goldberg,
Okay,
Booker T,
sure.
Booker T's Hall of Fame ring, and then there's also the sub list of stupid idiots.
Right, yes.
Enzo Amore, Big Cass, all of the members of
the
New Day, the Shining Stars, so that's Primo and Epico, the Club, Gallows and Anderson, and the last
OC.
person on the list,
Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens.
Yes.
So the list of Jericho started as an entitled, arrogant heel gimmick, much like the cockiness he's exuding as leader of the Inner Circle while demanding his accolades from the AEW audience. The list was a simple but effective in that carny sort of way that wrestling fans love. And Jericho ultimately had a babyface turn with this, very much like MJF did in 2023 with being our scumbag. So it might have been the power of expensive scarves guiding both of them, who knows. This gimmick is definitely on my list.
It's great. It's the you never watched it live, but like he still had such a prolific, I guess, library of characters that he had portrayed and evolved through. So for him to just sort of be and to be fair, at this one of the things I think is important about framing this gimmick is that at the time Jericho, he had come back a couple of times already.
Mhm.
He had a feud with CM Punk where he was a heel, and then he came back where he was kind of just like a face doing nothing.
And he was meant to be it was meant to be a short stint,
yes,
right? And it was meant to put a few guys over, but then the list thing took
well,
off,
him and
right?
Kevin Owens took off.
And that's the power of the good idea. But actually, no, him and Kevin Owens were a thing. But again, from looking into this, my understanding of it is that once they had the list and they had that one good idea, it kept him there for a lot longer, right? Like his only purpose was to put guys over.
Nothing thing, but I think it works because Jericho's such an established guy that we accept him being both silly and serious.
And again, it's a brilliant gimmick.
So good.
So this has been a Cali Mercury presentation of the many faces of Chris Jericho. Oh my God, there's a wrestling show going on.
It's me. It's DDP. Arms back, chest out, because DDP has come out to fill the 4th spot.
Ah, that's a DDP yoga reference, and god damn it, aren't we in shape?
I mean, thank you. I don't agree, but I appreciate it. I'll take it. They go up to the box seats, and Jericho locks the door, which has a glass window in it. Cody wraps his fist around MJF's scarf and punches the glass. Then a big brawl breaks out through the mezzanine, and Max looks adorable in his swimming in his non-tailored
I don't think it was that bad.
He was swimming in it.
You're overstating it.
I'm not. Our precious baby scumbag. Jericho somehow still has his tickets at the end of this huge brawl when everyone's pulled apart. He starts waving it at the security, demanding that Cody and his lackeys get arrested for assaulting a patron. Now, Callie, as the resident lawyer and law expert, they can't see my air quotes. Please give me an analysis of the kayfabe legalities here.
The kayfabe legalities of this completely not.
Because to set it up, Jericho is both a patron and a wrestler, and as wrestling has established many times, it's not assault if you have a match booked against each other in the near future.
Right. So again, my take on this is that anything that has happened that is a crime, such as the assault that we saw, or the mischief of breaking the window in Canada, we call that mischief, or basically any other sort of...
we're adorable with our crimes.
Well, that's just, whatever. Blame the Brits? I don't know.
Yeah.
Or any other sort of crime that could happen in kayfabe is just handled by way of vigilante street justice. So you got to fight that shit out. But sometimes we move into boring civil matters, and this issue, as you kind of foreshadowed, raises 2 distinct contractual issues. So the agreement that Jericho has with AEW regarding his contractual obligations to participate in street justice, aka fight Cody when he says, I can come up there and fight right now like he did earlier. Remember I said put a pin in it? Again, is this part of Jericho's contractual obligation as a wrestler of AEW, even though he has tickets as a patron to the show? I don't know. I've never seen the contract.
Sure.
More information is required.
Right.
But there's also
Where's my respecter when you need him?
There's the other legal distinct issue I see here is that the agreement that the patrons of the venue have as ticket holders. So generally in exchange for access to the venue, the ticket holder agrees to certain things or to not do certain things, like bringing in weapons or air horns. So would using the air horn,
which they clearly
Again, yeah, would that vitiate the agreement between the ticket holder and the venue?
Vitiate?
Yeah. Should I switch that?
No, you just explain it.
Like,
just
end it, finish it.
Oh,
like,
complete.
Yeah, the kind of vitiates.
Void is it?
Voids
like,
it. Voids it. Yeah. Sorry, vitiate. It's using the context of like vitiating consent, right?
Sure.
In sexual assault cases.
Yes. Yeah.
Kind of how,
I understand what that means.
Yeah. But again, does that void the agreement between the ticket holder and the venue, or the discretion of the promoter that's using the venue at any given time? So AEW, and is there joint liability to be had between the venue and AEW via Jericho? Anyways, civil law is fucking boring, so who cares?
And I think we've finally cracked the case on why wrestling doesn't have a union. Because writing one in kayfabe would be impossible.
Yeah, kayfabe law, man. I'm here for
Could
that.
you imagine
though.
a kayfabe wrestling union? It would make the least sense of anything that's ever happened.
Like literally, I'm gonna keep track of this. Like anything that's a crime is just fucking street justice.
I think we're gonna need to start a spreadsheet.
And then we do like stupid, and then I do stupid legal analysis that is completely not a legal opinion or anything.
So an episode of Suits.
So an episode of Suits. Ow. Yeah, just shitty legal opinions.
Yeah, that don't actually work at all.
Anyways. It was fun, though. It was fun to think about.
It's true. I mean, it does. I mentioned it earlier, but the scenario does make me realize that there's like a weird legal loophole in wrestling where a wrestling contract between two guys who to fight in the near future somehow precludes you from having the safeties guaranteed to you by law.
Is that part of their contract? I don't know.
Well, I mean, for example, if you book to wrestle someone, you are not legally accountable if you attack them any week prior, unless otherwise stipulated. I mean, Triple H got dropped upside down in a car by Steve Austin. No legalities.
Yeah. Because that's street justice, man.
He attempted murdered him.
We don't need a criminal court of law. We don't need a criminal court of law. We have kayfabe. Kayfabe criminal court is just street justice, and then anything else. Well, again, and Cody, getting arrested versus getting charged. Like,
sure,
again, I would like to know.
There's a difference between jail and prison.
You have a better kind of
historical
knowledge of has anyone actually gotten charged criminally in kayfabe?
I think the important thing is to remember is that when it goes to appeals, it goes to wrestlers' court.
Wrestler's court.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Does that hold up in court, counselor? The camera lingers on the inner circle for a little too long, probably because they're trying to vamp the commercial break before we hear the theme of the Best Friends, which means it's time for match number 4.
Match 4.
Best Friends versus Young Bucks, the third, man.
Third tag team, man.
Oh, good, man. I love wrestling, man.
Yeah, this is the Ultimate Losers match.
Ultimate Losers match,
of the tag team tournament.
The Young Bucks with their sandals, man.
Did they come out with sandals?
No, they didn't.
No.
Match 4.
Legit, though.
Best Friends versus Young Bucks, the third tag team match of the night. The one with the least amount of stakes and the best one of the evening, I would argue.
Yeah, the Ultimate Losers match of the tag team tournament. So
Yeah.
SCU beat the Best Friends, Private Party beat the Young Bucks. Again, they're shooting off bucks during their entrance,
which I love. I miss the Bucks money, and I really miss the Young Bucks in 2024.
Yeah, they haven't been around for a while.
No, they turned heel a little on Kenny, and then when Kenny got injured, they kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad at least that it's not like all of the elite are off TV. I do think it's interesting that the guys who on TV, the least now of the 4 of them are the EVPs. I know Kenny's injured, and he's been injured for a while, but I wonder if it is like, let's step back and do some company shit for a bit.
Because they're on this a lot in 2019, because they have to be, right?
Yeah, of course,
out of necessity, which I like that, but it's going to be interesting to see, 5 years going forward here, you know?
Yeah. When the Bucks get in the ring, Orange Cassidy no-sells their muscle pose, giving them the limp kicks and getting double super kicked out of the ring for his efforts.
I thought the limp kicks to the Bucks was so funny.
So here's the thing. 2019, Roman says, why is this loser so over? I hate the Aviators. I hate his Canadian tuxedo.
Is true.
Which, for anyone who doesn't know, is all denim everything. And I have no idea what these kicks are supposed to be. Good. Kick his ass out of here so people who can actually wrestle can be wrestled.
Yeah, and me, the child of me, is like, no, man, that's fucking hilarious.
I was so wrong. It maybe took me 4 years to get there, but I was so wrong.
Here you are, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy mark.
And I'm sure one day we'll talk about it, but I will give it to Taz for really getting him over with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a future episode, but the match starts.
Nick and Trent start things off with Nick trying to use his speed to gain an early advantage, avoiding a lariat and taking Chuck Taylor off the apron, then going for the apron to hit Trent in the ring with a springboard facebuster.
Yeah, and Nick tags Matt in, and they start double teaming Trent, giving him a backbreaker and a rolling neckbreaker combo.
Yes.
Matt goes for Chuck on the apron so that Nick can hit him with a drop kick. With both men down, the Bucks mock the best friends by hugging in the middle of the ring, doing their kind of heel shit.
Yeah, and so actually the move that they do to Chuck is called the Doomsday Knee, which is so they get him when they get him on their shoulders like that. It's called the Doomsday position because of the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
With the Doomsday Drop, which was a clothesline from that position.
Okay.
They go for stereo topes, but get blocked by the best friends, who then maul them on the outside. Trent and Nick go on the apron, and Chuck puts Nick up on his shoulders as they hit a Doomsday Knee from the apron on the outside too. There's a lot of moves in quick succession, but there's still room to breathe and sell. You know, like the first match, if they did a move like this, they'd immediately go into the next sequence, whereas this is like Nick's on the floor, he gets rolled into the ring, they give him like one. It's not like they do a Randy Orton headlock that lasts like 5 minutes.
They just take a breath in between moves.
Grab a hold. It's called, it's just a simple, that's the expression, but it is really just grab a hold.
Yeah, because then,
take a second.
And then, Trent starts working on Matt in the ring, and he's chopping him into the corner, and then he whips Matt into the opposite corner, but Matt jumps over the post and hits Chuck with a DDT on the apron.
Yeah.
Looked painful.
Very. Orange distracts Matt on the outside, which opens him up to a baseball slide from Chuck. Excalibur calls Orange Cassidy Laconic and Slothlike, which really makes Shivani pop. Like JR
and Shivani.
You're right. They both absolutely love his verbiage and his perspicacity, and they both repeat it in delight and surprise, like each individually. Shivani's like, Laconic, and Ciara's like, and Slothlike.
A perspicacity.
A perspicacity.
Man, you and Excalibur right now.
Hey, look, Lisa Simpson burned that word into my into my brain.
Yeah, this did seem like a really sweet bonding moment for the commentary table,
true.
Particularly Shivani and Excalibur, and I was really moved by that.
Yeah, and I love the humility of Excalibur just being like, no, that's why we're a team.
Yeah.
I love that. The Bucks are in control as the crowd starts a small the elite. Trent takes a Ric Flair Irish Rip into the corner, which is when he flips over it, and then walks right into the 3 Northern Light suplexes from Matt. But as Matt goes for a fourth, a little greedy, he gets too close to the ropes, and Trent uses the corner to hit a tornado DDT.
Yeah, this was a really cool spot. I really love the locomotion suplexes. They're so powerful looking.
Yeah.
It was a fun reversal, too.
And it always looks like it's hard on Matt, but it's so worth doing. Like, it's a really always impressive.
Yeah, I love all forms of suplexes.
The Bucks recover, though, and Nick sends Trent back into the corner and hits a rising knee strike, followed by a mean Shining Wizard, which is like a running knee when they're on their, like, on the ground on the knees.
Yeah.
The match then slows down a little as both teams have worked each other over. Again, I don't mean to harp on it, but it's just a nice contrast. Trent tries to hit Nick with a German suplex, but Nick lands on his feet, roundhousing Trent in the face. Then Trent does a 360, grabs the waist again, and this time nails the German and tags in.
Very, very laconic and sloth-like is Orange Cassidy, if you couldn't tell.
He's laconic, Tony, damn it.
And he's sloth-like.
Yes.
Powerbomb to Matt, but
Slothy.
This is heating up a lot.
Yep.
The crowd is
I love it.
Chuck gets caught.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Big knee right to the sternum. Far leg hooked. Near fall.
For another near fall.
Excalibur, that's some good stuff, buddy. Keep it up, man. We love it. Hey, man, words exist for a reason. Yes, absolutely. We love it. We're a team here, buddy.
And gets hit with a soul food half and half, followed by a big hug that lets the ref get caught in between them.
Yeah, lots of ref interference in this show.
Yeah, so at least this explains why the ref couldn't see it, as opposed to just choosing to ignore it and or enforce rules that are not part of the match. There's none of that this week, at least.
Yeah, that's true.
All the rules were consistent. I guess not in the first tag match, but anyway. The hug distraction gives Orange Cassidy the chance to take out Nick on the outside with a sloth drop from the apron. As Trent hits Matt with a strong 0, but Nick is just able to break up the 3 count. Chuck picks up Matt and for another Doomsday knee, but Matt lands on his feet. So impressive. And super kick, and a super kick party to both guys. And Nick does a gorgeous Escalera to the outside on Trent and Orange, and then hits Chuck with the more bang for your buck moonsault combos for a well-earned 3 counts.
Yes.
The excellent tag match. Both teams looked really impressive. I would argue the last sequence of this match, or few sequences of this match, were just as effective as all of the moves in the first match. Just to say, like, this is where you put that kind of intensity in a match, right?
It's kind of like an interesting sort of...
Don't let it plateau from the start.
Yeah, like a case study in pacing tag team matches.
Absolutely.
Also, it could potentially be the lucha. Like, are they playing by lucha rules? If so, tell us that.
But the rules are not necessarily pacing, right? It's you don't need the rules to dictate when someone slows or sells a move or takes a hold.
That's true,
right? And so as much as I am making a comparative judgment, it's also in an effort, as always, to prove that these matches have psychology to them. And guys like Cornette or these old timers who think there's too much or too little, no, there's more nuance to this than they give credit for, and this definitely shows that.
Again, after the match, the Bucks pick up a microphone, tell Santana and Ortiz that they accept the challenge that they laid out last week. Right. So they're going...
Which, oddly, didn't get mentioned at all during the match by commentary, and so I completely forgot about it until they mentioned it.
Yeah, which I think was good, because I think I had fun with this tag match. Then we get a promo package for Britt Baker.
Yeah, the doctor's in.
Yes, hometown Pittsburgh native, and they put over both her wrestling and dental careers, making them seem on equal level of challenge and accomplishment, which I like agree with, for sure.
They're making Britt seem like a big deal tonight, as they should. She and Jamie Hayter are greatly missed in 2024.
But again, in
tonight,
2019, where she's going up against Jamie Hayter.
Which 2024 Ramen was like, I did not remember her wrestling at all in AEW at this point.
Yeah, and this is actually her debut with AEW. Wow. So at this point, she was actively wrestling with Stardom out of Japan.
Sure, of course.
And she continues there for the rest of 2019 and early 2020.
Okay.
Then COVID takes her back to Rev Pro in her native UK.
Sure.
We don't see her regularly on this podcast until we get to the episodes in the summer of 2021. So we're watching the episodes in chronological order, and that's probably why you didn't remember her early, because
she doesn't show up much.
I think we see her in maybe one other match a few weeks down the road here, but the appearance wise, she's giving us like dark goth, and I did one round of bleach for a split dye look on her hair, which actually looks really cool on her and suits her skin tone.
She looks like Seth Rollins' old hair, but when it's like the dye is fading.
Yeah, it's like a muted bleach, which I love, and I love her look for her debut at AEW.
Her gear isn't my favorite, the all black and like the random straps. She kind of looks like a Tomb Raider dominatrix. Not all right, calm down. Jamie has some of the strongest looking legs in wrestling, though, and I don't mean that in like the JR way. I just mean like wrestling is a top heavy sport. You don't often see equally proportioned legs muscularly.
Yeah,
and she is like they are tree trunks. I've always been so impressed by her lower body strength.
She appears proportioned to carry like more weight on her bottom section. She definitely lifts heavy on leg day. But Britt Baker comes out to a huge ovation. She gets her entrance fireworks, and she's accompanied by Steely McBeam, who is the mascot for the Pittsburgh Steelers NFL team. Britt has a white bedazzled blazer that has Britsburg on the back, accented with the Pittsburgh black and gold.
Black and yellow.
Yeah, they're the only city in North America where their professional sports team are all black and yellow, and I fucking love Pittsburgh for that no-nonsense level of coordination on that front. And then we're told that she had a study spot in an atrium above the gymnasium where this whole event is happening.
Interesting.
And that seems to make it extra special for Britt, and she definitely deserves this homecoming.
That's beautiful. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Commentary comments on it. I can't remember who did.
The crowd absolutely loves Britt. As soon as the bell rings, these two start fucking wailing on each other. Now, these two are friends.
Yeah.
And especially become closer as time goes on. But Hayter and Tony Storm especially also are very, very close friends. They used to live together.
Interesting.
So yeah, there'll be some interesting background stuff for you in the future when we get to 2021 AEW. But the much stronger Hayter takes an early advantage on Britt, tossing her to the outside and ramming her into the ring post. Jamie does a lot of like crybaby taunts and mean mugging to the audience, which lets Britt recover from her initial of damage to hit a sling blade on the outside. This one looked really good. Britt rolls Jamie into the ring, getting a couple of roll-up near falls as we go into the next commercial obligation. Jamie, during the obligation, she sits on Britt's back and then gives her a wet willy, which was just nasty.
See? No, I had a good laugh about that.
did.
The 12-year-old in me was like,
Wow, you were you a bully? Did you wet willy people? Were you edgy?
I didn't wedgie people.
But you wanted to. You wish.
I might have wet willied some
That's
people on my
disgusting.
time.
I thought I knew you.
This might be the second rule of cool I noticed. I wasn't paying much attention, but
I
anyways.
don't know that that's a DQ to wet willy someone.
I don't know either.
I don't think
I'm
so.
curious,
Like it's certainly unsports.
It's
man-like.
gross
Yeah.
and like it's not like
it's unsportshuman like.
it's the man is short for human.
I know. I just
We've been
thought
over
that.
this.
We have.
As we come back from obligation, we get the boo, yay, punches. These were genuinely
Knocking each other back.
yeah with the strikes.
Jamie then jumps on Britt's back for a sleeper hold, but Britt does a trust fall to shake Jamie off, basically making Jamie do a back bump.
Yeah.
Britt hits an awkward sling blade for 2. This one wasn't as good. She didn't get quite a lot of elevation on it, and she starts to look a little gassed.
Yeah, and it was also around this point that Britt was trying really hard to get Hayter positioned
Right.
for a swinging neck breaker, but Hayter kept maneuvering out, and I noticed that Hayter was definitely looking like maybe the more experienced wrestler at this point in the match.
Which she probably would be, I feel like.
Well, they started actually around the same time, 2015.
Interesting.
Yeah, they both started around 2015. Jamie Hayter is a little bit younger than Britt, I think, by a few years, but not by much.
Britt tries to hit Hayter with a Northern Lights, but Hayter counters with a Northern Lights bomb for 2. Jamie then starts to show some frustration from that kick out because it was a devastating move. Gouging Britt's eyes to get space and then climb the middle rope, the most dangerous rope. But Britt won't be deterred, catching Jamie for an avalanche brainbuster. She hits Hayter with a thrust kick, then follows up with an ace crusher and a swinging neck breaker for a really close near fall.
Yeah, and that was a really nice swing neck breaker. When she landed it, it was good.
I was surprised by that ace crusher too. You don't see that a lot.
Yeah.
Britt hits a wobbly Hayter with a super kick, then clasps Jamie into the lockjaw for a quick tap out. The Doctor is in and wins in Britsburg. A great showing by Britt, more polished than her previous encounters, with just a small flub in that sloppy sling blade, but she was amazing.
Yeah, definitely feeling her oats in Britsburg.
Yeah, she had a lot of confidence exuding out of her tonight. Hayter was a pleasant surprise and showed a ton of physicality and poise and power. I felt like her mean mugging and stuff was a bit, came off a bit like, I really need to put an effort here.
Yeah. I mean, I was actually really impressed by Hayter's stamina in this match.
Agreed,
Like, again, she is a couple years younger than Britt, but both Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker started their wrestling careers in 2015. So, I mean, Britt is...
I feel like wrestling in NXT and wrestling in Stardom are two very different experiences.
So, and Hayter, again, we'll see her, I think, maybe once more this year, but then she doesn't come back to AEW until 2021.
Well, I will miss her until she comes back. Hate to see her leave, but love to see her come back. We then go over the brawl that broke out at the top of the hour, as Cody is said to be in a quote-unquote holding facility at the University of Pittsburgh campus for now. I did not know they had a dungeon.
Oh, it's a holding facility.
Yes,
I'm interpreting this as he's taken to a security office and put in a little
Okay,
jail cell,
okay.
like kind of drunk tank style.
Sure.
And again, in terms of kayfabe street justice, I think that the whole causing a disturbance, which again is a crime in Canada, of civilians at this brawl, again,
unless you're a never mind.
Yeah, they're, these civilians that aren't involved in the street justice are disturbed by what's happening. So
yeah, they seem real disturbed with their wooing.
I think this warranted a cooling off period in the drunk tank. There's no mention of criminal charges because street justice reigns supreme, and that is not a legal opinion or legal advice.
Yeah. When we then go to the locker room with whoever the fuck Jen Decker is, where she is interviewing Jamie Hayter about their loss, but before Hayter can say anything, Brandy beats her down and gives Jen a furious face. She like knocks Hayter out and then just like wags her finger at
and I thought you were gonna give me something
I don't
in BTE
remember
about this,
No, I
but
don't
like,
remember- I
was
don't
Hater
remember
hired by Brandy to beat up Britt Baker?
I don't know what happened.
I'm missing something. There's no explanation
And
given
like
to
we
the viewer.
watched Dynamite last week. There was
Yeah,
no great.
this distracted from what I found to be an enjoyable women's wrestling match.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell that
It was fucking weird. Anyways.
Yeah, match number 6, the main event.
Yes, this is a singles match for TV time remaining.
John Moxley versus the Bastard Pac.
Mm-hmm.
I got shivers at the thought of this match. These two are going to beat the piss out of each other. Hopefully they didn't take a piss first. Because otherwise they'll just beat dust, I guess. Just as I thought that, Pac interrupts Moxley's entrance with a blindsided chair shot to the back of the head.
The crowd chants, asshole, as he chokes Moxley with his own jacket. Beast.
I mean, they didn't chant bastard, which I find odd.
Right?
But Shivani is disgusted with this bastard.
Maybe they chanted bastard and I misheard it.
No, definitely not.
Pac is pissed at Moxley for betraying him during the tag match on last week's Dynamite. So Mox gave his tag partner Death Rider and walked out of the match. And so Pac's undefeated AEW record has an asterisk. He is undefeated in singles competition only. So, yeah, like you said, this match is going to be deadly.
Look, all Pac had to do was high-five him. I don't...
Is that what would have solved the problem?
I think so.
And here we are today.
Despite the beatdown, Mox rolls into the ring and the bell rings. Pac hits an immediate enziguri and goes for the Black Arrow very quickly, but Mox smartly rolls to the outside. Pac hits a running corkscrew plancha to Mox on the outside, landing on his feet as if he walked on air. Mox is disoriented from this assault and hurting as Pac starts picking him apart in the ring, hitting low drop kicks, elbow drops, stomping on the digits, things like that. Suddenly, Moxley bullies Pac into the corner and stomps a mud hole on him, but he doesn't have the stamina to keep it going. So Pac quickly gets back his momentum with kicks to the midsection, followed by a running knee to knock Moxley back down.
Yeah, Pac is completely in control at this point, and JR says, the battling Brit feels he's been wronged. He's remorseless and cold. My JR impersonation is not as good as yours. But again, commentary notes here that the pre-bell beating is an effective strategy for winning and getting vengeance.
Shivani says, nah, I think he's just a bastard.
But what do you think? Is Pac cold and calculating, or is he just an angry bastard?
I mean, you can be both.
Why not both?
Yeah, why can't you be angry and also calculating?
I guess
and
fair.
also emotionally distant. I feel like that seems to go together. It seems like a good triforce of abuse.
Wow. Honestly, I think Pac wants to be feared. That's part of the storytelling that he's giving. He's undefeated in singles competition.
As we come back from obligation, Pac gives Moxley a buzzsaw kick and a standing shooting star. Eventually, Mox and Pac find each other fighting on the apron, but suddenly Moxley hits Pac with a bulldog DDT on the apron. He fucking spikes him.
Yep.
Both men are now wobbly in the ring, slugging each other out with strong style elbows to the and forearms to the collarbone. Mox hits Pac with a lariat, but Pac comes back with a stiff kick. He runs at Moxley off the ropes, but gets caught with a clothesline that flips him inside out.
Yes.
And now they're starting to beat the piss out of each other.
Beautiful ragdoll selling by Pac here.
Absolutely. The Rikishi bump.
Yeah.
Mox tries to hit Pac with a regal knee, but Pac rolls out of the ring in perfect position for Moxley to hit a tope for no reason. We suddenly hear a 5-minute warning as Mox hits a black hole slam on Pac, followed by the Shining Wizard, but only gets a 2.
And that is 5 minutes of TV time remaining, as if we needed to add an extra element of intensity to this wrestling match.
But it really effective. As soon as that 5-minute warning went off, you and I were both like, "Oh, what?
Shit! Yeah, really?
Yeah.
What?"
Moxley then hits Pac with a Texas Cloverleaf. Pac grabs the ropes quickly, very quickly. We get a 4-minute warning, and the urgency causes Moxley to take a risk going up top to the turnbuckle, which he's not very familiar with.
Yes.
But he's not comfortable there, and Pac hits him with an Avalanche Falcon Arrow for his trouble. This is the other part in the show tonight where Mox lands really rough.
Yeah.
He lands on his side too, and it does not look good. He doesn't get enough elevation to get a full twist, so he just kind of lands right on his kidney.
Yeah, we can see from the replay that his foot slips off the turnbuckle a little bit early. Slippy
Nakazawa again with the baby oil.
Slippy shit.
Oh boy.
But these guys are professionals. You know, they make it look. They make it work. They make it no
It
issues
doesn't
with
detract
that.
from it. No,
It doesn't
not at all.
detract from the match at all. That's
No.
right.
Pac goes back up to the top turnbuckle for the Black Arrow, but Mox rushes him, forcing him to jump down, and that's when we get the 2-minute mark as Moxley rolls up Pac for a 2 count.
Yeah, maybe it's just my anxiety about timers generally, but honestly, I'm feeling the frenzy of this match right now.
It's not just you. Even JR is like, at this point, he's advocating cheating.
Yeah.
He's like, if I'm Moxley, I'm grabbing the tights. Get the win and get out of here.
Yeah,
What the
legit.
fuck, JR?
It's getting to a man.
Yeah, we're in 14A now. We don't need to fucking follow the rules.
2 minutes to midnight.
Mox gets low bridged to the outside, and Pac hits him with a 450 splash from the apron.
Yeah, the camera cuts to like a woman standing there fucking, what?
Yeah, just mouth agape.
Yeah, that could have been a shot of me at that moment.
Totally. Pac rolls Moxley back into the ring for another Black Arrow attempt, but a slight hesitation means that nobody's home as Moxley rolls out of the ring. We get the 1-minute warning, and the crowd is getting antsy. They are on their feet.
Yep.
Mox crawls over Pac to get the cover, but it's a 2.9. As both men are wobbly on their knees, Mox hits a paradigm shift out of nowhere. Fans are on their feet as Mox rolls Pac over the cover as we get to the 7-second count. But Pac kicks out and the match goes to a draw. Moxley is furious and gives the ref a paradigm shift as the crowd freaks out.
The bell goes.
2019 Ramen absolutely loved this. This was the moment that I was like, all right, JR, you were right. Time limits are a great idea.
Yeah.
Because I want round 2.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's not that I understand if some people did. I did not come away from this frustrated. I came away from this being like, so this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
This is what this show is going to be. These competitors, all the competitors on the show are going to be at a level where round 1 is the whole match. I love that.
Yeah, this sort of countdown thing really had an intense emotional effect on people generally. It certainly worked on both of us, and the possible outcome being a draw, like I was kind of losing my mind at that. And I reviewed the stats and this match length. The main event was only 12 minutes and 20 seconds long. And because they ran out of TV time.
Sure.
So sitting there in hindsight, prepping to do this podcast, I'm wondering, why didn't they give the main event grudge match at least 15 to 20 minutes of airtime?
You have a lot of tag matches.
At the same time, we're set up for this feud, like you've said accurately. We're set up for this feud to continue, and that's what AEW needs right now, are storylines. Tag team betrayal grudge match that ends in a draw is a really great story to build on for future episodes. So, but again, I think the length of this match explains why we got a freezing cold open, in my opinion.
I think the multiple tag team matches is why we got a freezing cold open. I think the length of this match didn't need to be longer than 10 minutes. I think it's smart for them to say TV. Like, to be honest, if this match was 5 to 10 minutes longer, I think the countdown would be less effective. It would be more of a sour taste, because you would have enough time for the match to have ended. This did feel like we were just getting into the third act of the match when the buzzer ran, and I think that was a really smart decision on their part. I think they probably could have cut the Cody segment a bit, because I think that probably went long.
But again, okay. So like again, if they're gonna cut a minute from something to do the intro,
I think there may be more to this in terms of like, maybe they were preempted from basketball. Maybe they had too many advertising spots they had to fill, things like that. I don't know that it's necessarily, because I don't feel like any of the matches were rushed.
No, it didn't feel well. Again, when the 5-minute buzzer went on this main event, I was like, what?
Sure. And that's why I think
like,
I remember
that's what I was like, what the fuck are we here? We haven't even started.
And I remember saying to myself when we were watching, when it said TV time remaining, I was like, usually they say something and then or TV time remaining. Yeah. Which is what they do now. Yeah. But yeah, so it kind of was an interesting, I hear what you're saying, but I think if it went longer, it actually would have hindered the finish more. Because we're left
I agree.
wanting
ultimately,
more
I agree
versus
with you.
We're left wanting a finish.
I ultimately agree with you, because it needed to end this way for the storytelling. Sure. But here we are being like, okay, we don't even get like there's no Dynamite intro, like.
but I mean, I think it does help that it was a really intense match where like either man could win. Yes. It wasn't an underdog situation where we get like a dusty finish, which you were just recently introduced to. Yeah. With the TNT title, this is a match where we absolutely want to see it again, and we want to see a definitive winner. Yeah. And after we go off air, Pac tries to Pillmanize Mox's neck, but God comes out to save him. Kenny runs down and gets Pac out of the ring, and then Mox and Kenny stare each other down as Pac tries to intercede, and they both clothesline him out of the ring to the outside.
The enemy of the enemy is my friend.
As Pac walks up the ramp, Hangman appears. Pac runs through the crowd and out of harm's way as Hangman goes into the ring and cuts a promo on Pac, saying he looks like a big guy with a chair in his hands, but he doesn't look so big when he's kicked him in the balls to pin him, or in DC when Hangman pinned his ass. He demands a rematch with Pac November 9th at Full Gear, the Bastard versus Hangman, and I will buckshot your damn head off. So the many storylines in the top card of AEW, and you will never have it.
Highlights?
This was a very entertaining show. I would say that, oddly, I think my low light is the first match of the night, and that's not even to say it's a bad match.
That's fair.
I think it's a very new team trying to show themselves, prove themselves, versus a fairly veteran team who can keep up with their pace.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that pace necessarily succeeded for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best match of the night arguably is the Bucks and Best Friends match,
Okay.
which is the pro of that is like it's to me it is like the prototypical AEW / modern style of tag team wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Indie, if you want to call it that, because that's where it kind of,
and especially because they have a give the people what they want, the tag team wrestling.
Exactly. I think that match really kind of stylistically and in terms of the spots and the pacing was the best match of the night.
Mm-hmm.
If I was to pick an MVP, I would say Moxley, because I think his selling throughout that match was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. You know, at this point, people were saying he's the best wrestler in the world in 2019. And matches like this gave a really good case because, you know, Kenny is always going to be an asterisk on that list for me anyway.
Yeah.
But between the two of them, like, I think in the last few weeks, he's done the best work. He has the most, feels like he has the most proof, probably.
Yeah, probably because he's coming in very well known.
Well, and because he's coming from WWE and he's made this choice. And I think this match he
gave up so much fucking money.
Yeah. But really, like, he did a lot of great selling, and a lot of intensity, and really picked it up when the clock started ringing. Like, his ability to be both beat up and hurt, but also feel like he's rushing to make a pin is really impressive.
The desperation of
while not running towards it.
Yes,
right?
yes. While making it seem natural and not like a forced desperation.
Exactly. So I think he would be my Dynamite Diamond this week.
Dynamite Diamond.
Yeah.
I'm only
honorable mention to Britt.
Fair. I'm going to mention positive things. The one of the highlights was really the storytelling this week. We're having fun with the Cody and Jericho Street Justice.
Finally.
Pac and Moxley in our very serious blood feud. You know, of course, we have the tag team finals and Christopher Daniels being injured.
You know, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you just made a really good point, which is that this is the first time in this feud between Cody and Jericho where I felt like it was fun.
Yeah, it was. That's
a great point.
Yeah. And again, I think it and that's why I'm really glad you suggested that I do the List of Jericho deep dive, because it kind of emulates that energy that List of Jericho had.
Which is what,
in terms of the gimmick and like the heelishness and the absurdity of him being the sort of leader of the inner circle and like having this box to watch wrestling and like, you know, he's it's absurd.
So much personality, which is what the feud was missing the last few weeks.
And so like the storytelling was a real highlight this week. In terms of matches, I think the women's match, because Britt was glowing in her hometown, and Jamie Hayter was really high stamina.
Absolutely,
and
pleasant surprise.
Yeah, that hits with me on several levels. So I would say that my AEW, what are we calling her?
Dynamite Diamond
is in fact Jamie Hayter for her debut with AEW tonight. So great stamina, great agility, and we obviously haven't seen the last of her.
No, we haven't. that was Dynamite this week. We are so grateful to have you all here with us again and to be recording this again. We took a bit of a hiatus for a variety of reasons, including getting COVID and other
all sorts
holidays
of shit.
and
Yeah, and then the holidays came and we're like, okay, 2024, let's get on to this.
Let's get back onto this.
We're
We love
passionate
doing
about
this.
creating this.
Yeah, we've really had a lot of fun creating this. We're going to be putting out some shorts on Threads and Instagram and YouTube pretty soon, hopefully, if the software stops fighting me. And if you want to reach us and make give us your comments or your opinions or anything like that, or something you want us to read on the air, email us at WannaWatchAEW@gmail.com. You can find our Instagram and Threads and YouTube at WannaWatchAEW. If you want to send us a buck or toonie, you can find our Patreon at WannaWatchAEW. But of course, as always, your listenership is enough for us. If you can please just give us a review or rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Podcast Addict seems to be the replacement for Stitcher now. So give us a rating or review, because that is the best way that you can help us, so that we can land on other wrestling fans' algorithms.
Yeah, tell the World Wide Web that you like us.
Yes, and that we don't plagiarize. Stop doing that. You're going to give yourself a concussion.
That one did really hurt.
Yeah.
I'm at half-mast today.
I don't know that that's the way we want to describe that.
It's very ambiguous.
Yeah.
You don't like that? You don't like the ambiguity and being at half-mast on any given Sunday?
I've got no problem with ambiguity, all right? You're not going to pigeonhole me into some sort of... You're the homophobe here.
We got
between the two of us.
Do we have... Okay.